All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Chris Wynn sitting in on a Monday. So glad you could join us. We're going to have a very cool prize pack to give away here coming up here in just a little bit. I'll explain that. But joining us in studio, he hasn't been here in a little while. It is John Bruchhagen from Infinity, the Math Institute. He is also a former Clark County School District teacher. And whenever we have issues or subjects to talk about that involve the Clark County School District, John is always a great insider to talk about those things. John, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Oh, thank you very much. Absence makes the hot girl fonder. I've never missed you so much.
I'm sure you have. But before we get
that was
to
very poetic, John.
Before we get to any of these Clark County School District subjects that I do want to talk about with you, quickly here, why don't you tell me what's been going on over there at Infinity the Math and just give people an understanding of what it is for people that don't know.
For those of you who don't know, we are a math tutoring firm offering a community of eager learners and telling the kids they are who they hang out with. So we just teach them math, not necessarily for grades, even though they all have A's and B's, more for comprehension, so that way they understand it for the rest of their life.
And how long were you a Clark County School District teacher for?
3 years.
3 years, okay. So what goes through your mind, John, when you hear of a sixth grader in the Clark County School District bringing a gun into a classroom? What goes through your mind when you hear something like that? Because let me just give the background. So a sixth grade class recently back in session. It's Del Webb Middle School. An 11-year-old student brought a gun on campus last week. A lot of the details have not been released, but certainly what we know is pretty disturbing. The student reportedly had the gun on the school bus, then ditched it in some bushes on school grounds. Any student could have found it and picked it up. The gun was reported to school officials by an unknown source. The 11-year-old was arrested, and this is now 14 firearms that have been confiscated at the Clark County schools since August 12th. Okay, that's a lot of guns. So that's what we know about this specific case, and now school is back in session. This is very serious. You know, these are young kids we're talking about. We see all the dumb things that adults do with guns, let alone an 11-year-old. So what goes through your mind when you hear about this?
Well, number one, these things happen a lot more than are reported. I mean, you know, certain times that somebody finds out, they have to release it to the press and make a statement. I guarantee you it's happening a lot more than it's reported. Number two, I also know that more kids are bringing guns to school than that get caught. So, I mean, kids are doing stupid stuff. And the thing is, the kids don't realize the severity of what they're doing, like the severity of dropping a gun in a bush. With my son, the first thing I taught them about gun safety from the time he was 4 or 5 years old is what to do if you found a gun underneath a slide. Number one, stand by it and get an adult to come by it. If you see another kid is going to grab it, I know my son would probably be more educated about gun safety, so make sure you grab it before somebody else does, unless you could guard it until an adult comes by. And that way he knows how safety works, how to make sure it's unloaded, how to, you know, gun education is super duper important.
But John, what do you think we should do to some of these parents in cases where the parents are allowing access to their 11-year-old? And listen, we don't know if that's the case in this specific situation, but I can go back, guys, to the school shooting in Connecticut where the mother not only gave access to her mentally ill son 2 weapons in the house, but taught her son how to shoot a gun.
And that's a lot more alarming than the kid bringing the gun to school. Because a kid doesn't know better. You know, kids say stupid things about sex, about violence.
Well, I say stupid things about sex, and I'm 39 years old.
Right. Well, that just shows your maturity. But nonetheless, you know, when you're in middle school, you say stupid things to get attention. You do stupid things to get attention. You know, you hang on to the back of a car with a skateboard to get attention. And, you know, now we would never do that because we realize, oh, my God, I could, like, get paralyzed if I mess this up. But when you're 11, 12, 13 years old, you don't realize
your brain is not fully developed.
Right. And you figure you're going to bring a gun to school, you know, and the kids are going to be like, whoa.
But what do you think should happen to a parent? Let's go back to the parents, because I think the main problem here is parenting, right? What do you think should happen to a parent that has guns just lying around in their house or allows access to their 11-year-old to a weapon, and all of a sudden the kid brings a gun to school and God forbid something horrible happens? Thank God, by the way, that nothing happened here.
Of course.
So this could have been.
Of course.
This could have been. What if a kid is just playfully playing with a gun? This sort of stuff happens, sadly, a lot, where a kid's just playing with a gun and accidentally shoots himself or somebody else. I mean, this could have been really bad.
That accounts for a lot of gun injuries. And It's hard to make a blanket statement about parents. I mean, I'll tell you right now, parents are the biggest driving force for a child's education, a child's maturity, a child's decision-making. But there's other cases where parents are always trying to get their kid to do better in school, to always make the responsible decision, and the kid still does something stupid. So, these parents could have done everything right, and the kid somehow, discovered the gun-safe combination. Or the parents could have left the guns all over the place and not educated their kid as to how serious this is. So it's hard to make a blanket statement about parents, but the blanket statement I can make about parents is that they are the biggest influence on children, and it doesn't always work. I know some parents of students who are horrible. They don't care about school. They don't care if the kid misses school, and the kid makes sure they always go to school, and they always make sure they get good grades. On the other hand, I know parents who are all in for their child's education, and no matter what they do, they can't get their kid to try harder. So it's a slippery slope.
But John, there's a lot of different opinions when it comes to gun control and shootings in general. But let's stick to the schools for a second, because this is your expertise. There are some people out there, their solution to some of these school shootings is more guns. Some people think that all teachers should carry guns, principal, everybody. I completely disagree with that. Here's what I think. I believe that several security guards in schools, right? I mean, 3 to 6 security guards maybe in most schools?
Per population,
right? Okay, fair. So I believe if all those security guards carry, I don't have a problem with that at all. They're trained. I don't have an issue with that at all. But there are some people that even call into this show that think that there should be armed guards at every exit or entrance. It is absurd. Kindergarten teachers with guns, it's ridiculous. I believe that security guards should carry. I think that is more than sufficient. And make sure that anybody can't just walk into a school. That's all.
Well, I mean, I disagree with you. I'm one of those people who think, everybody should be carrying and we would have a safer community. But that's not my point right now. My point right now is, like, for example, when Trump said, we should pay teachers extra to carry guns to school. I do not agree with that whatsoever. Not at all. Now, if you have somebody who is an experienced gun owner, who's a teacher, who's licensed, and they know how to do it, and they take a course specifically for how to handle your gun at school. You get to school, you put it in the gun safe, under your desk. Nobody knows about it. That's one thing. But to pay a stipend to teachers who are underpaid at the moment, to encourage them to bring guns to school when they probably wouldn't do that in the first place, but you're going to say, we'll give you $1,000 extra a year.
Well, let's explore this. Let's explore this. Because you believe that, all teachers should carry guns.
No, I just said I don't believe that.
Well,
I don't believe we should be paying teachers extra.
I didn't say that.
I don't believe we should be encouraging them.
I didn't say that.
I believe
but you don't have a problem with all teachers carrying if they please to.
I don't see all teachers being educated in gun
Let me
safety
ask you
and
this.
all teachers being responsible gun owners.
There are situations.
He's saying that if all teachers were educated in gun safety and knew how to handle themselves with a gun and were properly trained to
every day, though.
I'm saying if
weapon,
1 out of
he'd be
20
okay with
teachers,
Yeah.
if 1 out of 20 teachers has a CCR, and 1 out of 20 teachers has a lot of gun experience, and 1 out of 20 teachers carries a gun with them when they're not at school, I would encourage them to also bring their gun to school.
But here's what I would say to that. I understand what you're saying. Every day in society, sadly, there is some sort of physical altercation between a teacher and a student.
Right.
If that teacher is carrying, in some situations, that teacher could kill a student.
30 years ago, every single student at most high schools, especially in rural areas, had shotgun racks and shotguns. People would get into fist fights. Kids would always carry pocket knives. They would always have a shotgun in their pickup truck. Kids would fight.
Which I don't agree with.
Beat each other up. Nobody would get stabbed, and nobody would get shot. Now, in the 80s and 90s, kids started to get stabbed with everything from knives to pencils to pens. And then in the late 90s and 2000s, kids started bringing guns to school. And
well, I saw a story. I understand. I saw a story last week where a teacher called one of her students the N-word, and she was immediately fired. She deserved that. I don't want teachers like that carrying guns, and I understand it's just like police and law enforcement. The majority of teachers are great people. We know that, okay? But there are some bad apples out there, just like in law enforcement. I don't feel comfortable having those types of teachers carrying. I just don't.
Let me ask you a question. I taught with a guy over at Western, remarkable special education assistant teacher, and he is a former NYPD cop. Was a cop for 20 years in New York City. retired after 20 years, got his pension, retired out to Las Vegas, said, hey, I love kids. I'm only 45 years old. He went to school. At 48, he started teaching, and now he's a special education teacher. I would have no problem whatsoever with him bringing his gun to school. Having 20 years law enforcement experience.
Out there for people to see.
No, not necessarily. Just having it, in a, whether it's
I would
his
feel
own personal
less.
gun locker.
I'm just telling you, I would feel less safe as a student if my teacher carried and it was out there in the open on his waistband. I would feel less safe because there are kids out there that would try to grab the gun, even if they're playful.
Well,
some of these kids, sadly, a small amount of them would try to grab the weapon. I do believe that, and that is a very, very dangerous situation.
And that's why I said I don't think they should be carrying it around open.
It shouldn't be open for sure.
Right.
Right.
But let me ask you a question. I mean, say you go to the bank today after the show and you go to make a deposit, and the guy in line in front of you has a gun strapped to his belt. Does that make you uncomfortable or more comfortable?
I'm uncomfortable with guns in general, and I'll give you
me too.
I'll give you
Really?
a better scenario.
I'm more comfortable.
See,
I'm not me.
It's a mixed bag.
Not me.
'Cause I know nothing about this guy. I don't know if he's mentally okay. I mean, all I know is all he has to do is just pull his gun out, turn around, and shoot
I'll give
me,
you
and I'm dead.
Right. I agree with JD. I'll give you a better example. How about if two people are sitting at a bar, and I know there are rules where plenty of laws where you can't bring a gun into
And
a bar.
that's why I didn't
Right.
say bar.
Right. But I'm just putting that example. I don't feel comfortable with anybody carrying a weapon when anywhere near a bar. As you know, there are verbal disputes and arguments at bars all the time, and alcohol is usually a factor. Now, if I see somebody, I'll go back to what you said. I see somebody in front of me at a bank with a gun. My initial reaction, and perhaps this is wrong, but my initial reaction and the thought is, oh my God, is this guy going to rob the bank?
Number one, your initial reaction is not wrong. Yeah. It's your opinion. It's the way it makes you feel. That's what I was asking you.
I'm happy that there are armed security guards in every bank, right? Usually, right? That makes me feel safe because they are trained individuals, and what we know is that the bank, as an employee, is paying them so that not only the bank is protected, but we're protected. That makes me feel good. What I don't feel good about is somebody in front of me in line. I know nothing about them. I don't even know if they're legally carrying or not. I know nothing about them. So no, it makes me feel very uneasy. Now, I'm not one of those people that's a gun lover. I don't sleep with my guns. I'm not saying you do either.
No, I don't.
I'm very uncomfortable with some people in society carrying any type of weapon, especially assault weapons.
John, would you agree, though, that there's a general change in the mindset in America when it comes to gun culture, not just in schools? I'm talking about public places, whether it's movie theaters, other places where, it just is not the same as it was from probably the mid-2000s up till now that it was when we were kids. Look, I'm a little bit older. I'm a little bit older than you.
Easy,
but when we were in high school, there wasn't stories about another student going in and shooting up the school and killing multiple people. We had Newtown now. Of course, we had Parkland, recently. That is a story that's become all too prevalent here in the past probably 20 years, right? And it's something they think that it needs to be addressed. It's a problem, right, that we've all talked about, and now we're trying to find the solution, and it's something that's specific to the last 20 years as opposed to, before that when there really wasn't. I don't think there was an issue when it came to
there was
weapons
more guns
in
and there was
schools.
less problems.
Yes.
There was, and I don't think, I could sit here and draw a correlation saying, oh, well, the more gun control we have, the more shootings we have, which is true, but I don't believe it's directly correlated. Everything has become more polarized. I mean, people did not like JFK. People did not like, Ronald Reagan. People did not like Clinton, but we weren't so polarized. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ronald Reagan or even, President, the first Bush, we were talking about how his approval rating, I was listening to Michael Avenatti, his approval rating was 80-something% in 91, and then in 92, it was down to 37%. Well, I don't care where his approval rating was. You wouldn't have an entire stadium full of people booing George Bush, even when his popularity was way lower than that of Donald Trump right now. Mm-hmm. Even when Bill Clinton was going through his impeachment hearing, he wouldn't go to an Arkansas Razorback game.
It's different times we're in now.
Yeah, everything has become more polarized and to a fault. I mean, I think everybody is entitled to opinion. There's certain things that we're not going to agree on. We're not going to agree on abortion. We're not going to agree on gun control. But we need to remember we live in America where freedom is number one: liberty, justice for all. So, I mean, we got to find a way to, for the conservatives to understand that.
I would never try to infringe on anyone's Second Amendment rights to defend themselves. I believe everybody, so long as you're not a felon or a criminal, should be allowed to purchase a weapon to defend themselves. I have absolutely no problem with that. And the idea that there are a lot of people on the right out there that think that Democrats want to take all your guns away, to me, is a complete fallacy.
Some of them do. Some of them do.
Well, some do, yeah. But that's not the consensus. That's not the majority.
Right. Not everybody's Beto O'Rourke.
Of the Democratic Party is saying, oh, look, not just your AR-15s, not just your, your quote-unquote assault rifles. We want to take everything. That's not the case.
And not all Republicans are Mike Pence as far as abortion.
Right.
You know what I mean? We live in America. So I believe
there are extremes out there. And like what's going on in Alabama, the extremes on the absolutely absurd and disgusting abortion laws they have out there. And there are extremes, people on the right that don't want any background checks. They just don't want anything. There are extremes on the left, you're right, where there's some idiots that want to take all your guns away. But I'm talking about the majority of Democrats and the people that are in office do not want to take all your guns away. And listen, I don't have a problem if you're
And the majority of conservatives don't want to take away abortion.
Right, exactly.
We want, most conservatives would say, let's have abortion as a last result. As a last resort, number one. Number two, Republicans don't want to take away abortion. And like I said, there are some. Mike Pence, rape, incest, I don't care. It's God's creation. It's, and that's that. But we live in America. You don't have to be Christian to live in America. So, if you're not Christian and you believe in abortion, you have the right to get that.
I've always felt like some of these people on both sides of the aisle are hypocrites, meaning until it happens to you. For example, Dick Cheney. Let's bring him in the equation here just for 1 second. Dick Cheney was, I guess you could call it a Mike Pence when it came to gay marriage, when it came to, I would call it homophobia. Then he learns that his daughter is gay, and then all of a sudden he changes his tune on things. That is a hypocrite.
I wouldn't call it a hypocrite. I would talk more about enlightenment. I mean, first of all, you talk about racism, right? The least racist people in the world are athletes. I was on basketball teams, football teams. We've got every color under the sun, and we're all brothers. And and that's where you get the most integration is athletics, where people are just the best person for the job gets the job, and that's supposed to be what America's all about.
I agree.
And when you get people that live in only a white neighborhood, or you get somebody who lives only in a black neighborhood, it's easy to start, being phobic, whether it's homophobic or racist or something like that, until you start, interacting with people of different beliefs or different colors or different whatever the case may be. And that's why athletes are the least racist people in the world.
And to circle back, though, to the issue with guns and schools, because, John, this is your wheelhouse. I think there's a method to the madness, right? There's a reason why we're discussing this and why this is an issue in America now. It's because of what happened at Parkland. It's because of elementary school students getting mowed down when they're just going about their business at their elementary school in Connecticut. So, it's not just coming out of thin air that we're discussing this. So that's why I think that, there's been either some fundamental shift in, whether or not the value of life in America and the gun culture in America that needs to be addressed, especially when it comes to our kids being... We live in a country now, right, where we have young students that are saying to their parents, you know what? I don't feel safe of going to school today because I'm worried about getting shot. That's a problem.
Right. And it's not a gun culture thing. It's a cultural thing. When I was in high school, my friend impressed everybody by eating a stick of chalk. You know what I mean? And he was crazy, and he was coughing up chalk, and it was really crazy and exciting and everything else.
That sounds very exciting. I'd like to see that.
Or lighting a bag of poop on fire so somebody steps on it.
I'm more interested in the chalk.
But nonetheless, we're in the internet age now.
Yeah.
That doesn't impress anybody. What do you got to do to impress anybody? You got to wield a gun. You gotta beat somebody up and tape it. You got to do something to get the attention on you.
You got to do a radio show and bash Trump every day to impress people.
Oh, you want to be like every other radio commentator?
Well, it's the opposite. Come on, who's doing that every day? We're one of the few. Anyway, well, I am, I should say. Not JD. So, listen, John, we only have a few more minutes left to go here. Here's what I want to do. At Infinity, the Math Institute, you guys are going to be giving away 4 classes 5th through the to the 10th, right? Or what?
Yeah,
what?
well, we got a lot of new stuff going on. Can I just give a quick
Sure.
rundown, just so
Got a
people who've
couple
been
minutes.
listening for a while, they know. Number one, parents have been asking all the time, what's going on with the Common Core? I can't help my kids in school anymore. This month, we're offering free parent seminars all month. We're going to do 4 different seminars for parents, and kids are welcome to come too. They
So-
will learn as well.
So people could call in though. What exactly are we giving away today?
Today, well, that's going to be next. We're giving away SAT courses.
Okay.
Would you like to hear about the SAT
Yes.
courses first? Every Friday at 4 o'clock, we're going to be doing an SAT preparation course from 4 till 5 o'clock. It's a new introductory course, and it's only going to cost $15, $60 for all 4 courses, where we're going to break the SAT down into subjects, whether it be algebra, geometry, complex numbers, et cetera, et cetera. What we're going to give away on the radio now is we're going to give away 2 of those packages. I think it's the 5th and 10th caller.
Okay.
And we're going to give that away. It's Fridays at 4 p.m. in person. 4 free SAT courses.
All right.
Fridays at 4 o'clock in November.
So why don't we
starting
give
this
that away?
Friday.
Why don't we give that away right now to our 5th caller and our 10th caller right now? 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. 5th caller and 10th caller right now, you will win 2 packages of classes, SAT prep classes for your kids.
High schooler.
Yes. So right now, 5th caller, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. You will win that free course. And I know this is a class that I definitely could have used back in those high school days. There's no question about that. No doubt about it. Why don't you just tell people where your school is located?
We're on the corner of Flamingo and Torrey Pines. And you could also reach us at themathinstitute.com, or you could call us at 702-768-1777. Those of you who are listening here as this show continues to grow, one of our most effective offers is our online tutoring service. The results have been remarkable. Everybody who does their online tutoring is incredibly engaged, and all of their grades have gone up. From every single student at Infinity has an A or a B, whether it's in person, online, whatever the case may be. We're offering free parent seminars to tell them what Common Core is, how they could help their kids, what the difference between elementary math and middle school math is. And also coming next year, we're going to be launching a homeschool program. So we're going to have a open house on November 16th for any homeschoolers who want to find out more about that. And everything that we're talking about, we just visit us at themathinstitute.com or call us at 702-768-1777. And the last promotion we're going to do is if you go to Infinity's Facebook page and you mention KDWN and the Vegas Take, you will receive a free assessment, a $100 value, where your child will take the test. We will tell you where their strengths and weaknesses are. And all you have to do is go to our Facebook page and mention the Vegas Take or KDWN.
Cool.
Or you could go to KDWN and mention Infinity, the Math Institute.
Well, John, thanks so much for coming in. Always appreciate it, my man. Congratulations on your success over there at Infinity the Math Institute. Keep up
we
the
really
good work.
appreciate it, and congratulations on all your success.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, John.
Chris, thanks for coming in, as you always do every Monday. Same time, same place. We're going to take a 21-hour break. See you tomorrow. Sean Hannity coming up next.